My fiancé said, delete the prenup or there's no wedding. I said, then there's no wedding. She laughed like I was bluffing. I canceled the venue before dessert arrived. By sunrise, her mother was apologizing, her bridesmaids were calling, and my lawyer was asking for the ring back. Original post: I'm Evan, 34M. My ex-fiancée Kayla is 31F. We were together for 3 years, engaged for 8 months, and 5 weeks away from our wedding when she decided to turn the whole relationship into a test. I work in logistics for a medical supply company. Not glamorous, but stable. I own my condo. I've got a solid retirement account, and I own a small inherited share in the family cabin my dad left to me and my sister. Nothing wild. I'm not rich, I'm just not stupid. So when we got engaged, my attorney told me to get a prenup. Not because I expected divorce. Because adults protect what they built before marriage, that's all. At first, Kayla acted completely fine about it. She literally said, I get it, this is just paperwork. We even met with the attorney together once. She asked a few questions, nodded, took the draft home. Then suddenly, every time it was time to sign, there was an excuse. Too tired, too busy, bad week, bridal shower stress. She kept pushing it off. I should have paid more attention to that. The shift really started after her friends got involved, 2 bridesmaids in particular. Melissa and Tori, both divorced, both loud. Both the kind of women who treat every relationship like a courtroom and every man like a defendant. After one dinner with them, Kayla started using phrases that didn't sound like her. Why do you need protection from me? Why does marriage need conditions? Why am I being treated like a risk? I didn't argue. I just kept saying the same thing. The wedding can happen the second the prenup is signed. Calm, simple, no drama. Then last month we went to our final cake tasting. Everything looked normal. She was laughing, holding my hand, talking about table linens and whether the band should play longer during cocktail hour. We left there and went to dinner nearby. Halfway through dinner, she put her fork down and said, my friends think this whole prenup thing is humiliating. I said, okay. She said, no, not okay. I'm serious. If you loved me, you'd trust me enough to delete it. I said, I do trust you. I'm still not deleting it. Then she leaned back in her chair and hit me with it. Delete the prenup or there's no wedding. Just like that. Like she was telling me to pass the salt. I actually waited a second because I thought she might smile after. Like maybe it was a terrible joke. She didn't smile. I said, are you serious? She said completely. I'm not signing something that says I leave with nothing if this marriage goes bad. Either you delete it tonight or maybe we shouldn't be getting married at all, so I nodded once. Then there's no wedding, that was it. She blinked at me like I'd spoken the wrong line in a play. Then she laughed. Actually laughed. Said, Evan, stop being dramatic. I flagged the server, paid for dinner, and walked out. By the time I got to my car, she'd already called 4 times. By the time I got home, it was 11 calls and 2 voicemails. The first was angry. The second was crying. Same person, same hour. I didn't answer. I went straight into problem-solving mode. I emailed the venue, the planner, the photographer, and the travel agent. I locked the vendor portal passwords. I emailed my attorney. I boxed up the things Kayla had gradually moved into my condo over the last few months. Shoes, makeup, 2 garment bags, a drawer of clothes, framed engagement photos, and a coffee maker she insisted tasted better than mine. I set everything by the door. Then I sent one email. The wedding is canceled. Your things are packed. Coordinate pickup by email only. Please return the ring. I slept better that night than I had in weeks. Update 1 3 days later, the flying monkeys arrived right on schedule. Melissa texted first from an unknown number. Really classy, Evan. Hope the paperwork keeps you warm at night. I replied once with a screenshot of Kayla's message. Delete the prenup or there's no wedding. No reply after that. Then Tori called to tell me I was ruining Kayla's life over a technicality. I said it wasn't a technicality. It was an ultimatum. Then I hung up. Meanwhile, Kayla started posting vague little victim lines online. Things like some men protect assets more than hearts, and you never really know someone until they choose paperwork over love. No names, of course. Just enough to make people assume she'd been wronged. I stayed quiet. The planner called me the next morning and confirmed I'd stopped most of the bigger balances in time. We still lost about $4,200 in deposits, most of which I had paid. Not fun. But cheaper than marrying someone who tried to strong-arm me 5 weeks before the ceremony. Then came the surprise. Kayla's mother, Denise, called me. I expected yelling. I got a sigh. She said I told her not to do this. I told her if she had concerns, she should negotiate like an adult, not threaten you. That was the moment I realized Kayla hadn't even had full support on her own side. Denise apologized, not for everything, just for the circus. Then she asked if Kayla could collect the rest of her things from the condo lobby instead of coming upstairs. I said yes. Saturday at 10, I brought everything down. 3 boxes, 2 garment bags, 1 kitchen bag. Building manager Marcus stood near the desk because I had already updated guest access and didn't want a hallway scene. Kayla came in wearing sunglasses like this was some kind of celebrity divorce. Her cousin Bri came with her. Kayla looked at the boxes, then looked at me and said, "Can we talk privately?" I said no. She dropped the performance immediately. "So this is really what you're doing, throwing away a whole marriage over a document?" I said no, you threw it away over a threat. Then I asked for the ring. Her face hardened in a way I hadn't seen before we got engaged. She said, "Consider it compensation for public humiliation." Marcus heard that. Bri heard that. I just nodded and said my attorney will handle it, and that was the end of pickup, or so I thought. That night, Kayla sent a 5-paragraph email saying I had chosen fear over love, pride over partnership, and legal language over real commitment. I didn't answer, because at that point, the silence was saying everything for me. Update 2.5 weeks later, things got messier. Apparently once Kayla realized I wasn't going to reverse course, she decided escalation was the next best thing. First, the wedding planner emailed me because Kayla had called pretending we were working things out and wanted to pause cancellations on the florist and band. Luckily, the planner knew better and checked with me first. That was the moment I locked every vendor account behind new passwords and told everyone no changes without written approval from me. Then my HR department called me in. That was fun. Kayla had emailed them claiming I was withholding personal documents, jewelry, and financial property that belonged to her. She used words like coercive and unstable, real subtle. I sat down with HR, showed them the pickup photo, the lobby footage timestamp, the email trail, and the original ultimatum text. My HR manager looked at the screenshots for about 30 seconds and said, "Understood. Sorry you're dealing with this." That same week, Melissa called again and told me Kayla was outside my condo crying and not in a good place. She said if I had any heart at all, I'd come downstairs and talk to her. I checked my camera instead. There she was, sitting on the bench near the mailboxes, waiting for me to perform remorse. I didn't go downstairs. I called Denise. She was there within 20 minutes. I watched on the camera as Kayla stood up, started gesturing wildly, then got into her mother's car and left. Denise texted me afterward, "Stop responding to anyone but your lawyer." That was when I knew Denise was fully done enabling this. My attorney sent the formal demand letter the next morning. The ring was my grandmother's. Family appraisal on file. And in my state, an engagement ring is a conditional gift. No wedding means no ownership transfer. Pretty simple. Kayla still dragged it out. She emailed back, "I earned that ring by putting up with your control issues." That sentence actually helped my case more than it helped hers, so we filed. Small civil action for return of the ring, plus a cease and desist over the repeated contact, workplace complaints, and third-party harassment. I included everything. Texts, emails, HR record, vendor interference, camera screenshots. Denise even forwarded me a message where Kayla told her I'm keeping it until he finally sweats. That screenshot was gold. While all this was happening, life got better in quiet ways. I got promoted to senior operations manager. I started training for a half marathon with 2 guys from work. I stopped waking up tense. I stopped checking my phone with that low-grade dread I'd gotten used to during wedding planning. And in the most normal development of all, I had dinner with a woman named Julia from my running group. No games, no speeches, no tests. Just dinner. Our hearing got scheduled for the following month. Kayla still thought I'd cave before then. She was wrong. Final update court was last Thursday. Kayla showed up in a beige dress with soft makeup and the exact expression of a woman trying very hard to look reasonable. No bridesmaids, no cousin, no social media confidence, just a folder and a shaky little voice. She told the judge the prenup conversation had been emotional. She said the ring had been given in love and should stay with her because the breakup was mutual. That word almost made me laugh. Mutual. As if I had walked into that restaurant and demanded she threaten the wedding. I brought the screenshots, the appraisal, the demand letter, the vendor emails, the HR summary. The message she sent her mother about keeping the ring until I sweated. My attorney barely had to say much. The judge asked one question first. Did the marriage occur? No. That was basically the whole case. He ordered the ring returned within 72 hours. He also made it very clear that continuing to contact me through friends, work channels, or family after written notice was a bad idea. We didn't even need to drag out the cease and desist part after that. The warning was enough. In the hallway afterward, Kayla cried and said, "You really destroyed us over a document." I said, "No, you tested marriage with a threat." Then I walked away. Denise brought the ring to my attorney's office the next afternoon in the original box. She looked exhausted. She apologized again and said, "For what it's worth, I don't think you did the wrong thing." I told her I appreciated that. Since then, life has been very quiet, the good kind. I used the airline credit from the canceled honeymoon for a Colorado trip with my brother-in-law. I got fully settled into the promotion. Julia and I are taking things slow, which is exactly what I want. No merged calendars, no emotional hostage notes, no pretending conflict is intimacy. And the biggest thing I learned is this: the prenup was never the real issue. Respect was. If someone waits until the invitations are out, the deposits are paid, and the pressure is highest before they demand leverage, that's not cold feet. That's strategy. That's them seeing whether love can be turned into a weapon. If they'll do it before the wedding, they'll do it during the marriage too. I didn't lose a wife. I lost an illusion. And honestly, that was a bargain. If you've ever had someone test your boundaries right before a major commitment, tell me in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, like, subscribe, and share.